They're pioneers in percussion. Todd Meehan and Doug Perkins are on the playlist tonight to sample their latest work. We'll explore the touchstones of identity and culture built into Native American art and on display in Encoded at the Tweed Museum of Art, and experience music as public art with Jack Campbell. Your playlist is ready to roll.
Funding for the playlist is provided by the citizens of Minnesota through the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Well, art is meant to kindle conversation. The current exhibit at Duluth Tweed Museum pairs artwork from its American Indian art collection with pieces created by contemporary Native artists. The combination offers a unique perspective on Native symbols and cultural identity.
This exhibition, which is called Encoded, refers to the imagery and the icons and the symbolism of American Indian art. This particular program, this project, was curated by John Hitchcock, who is a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. His interest here was to take pieces from the Nelson collection of traditional forms and find artists whose contemporary work was responding to or having some kind of conversation with the forms of the past, but about today. Many of the contemporary young artists are involving traditional form and traditional iconography and traditional symbolism. Contemporary American Indian artists are dealing with issues of the modern world, issues of tradition, and issues of being part of an international contemporary art scene which may or may not respond to or recognize their identity. My name is Ken Bloom. I am director of the Tweed Museum of Art at the University of Minnesota, Duluth. I think most of our audience has just been fascinated. They don't really have to have a lot of expertise. They can develop their expertise if they have an interest. They can develop a little bit of expertise by simply paying attention to the kinds of imagery that are here and the samples. And it's very accessible. So far, audience response has been excellent.
Well, Dyani Whitehawk is one of the artists featured at the Tweed. Welcome.
Thank you.
Really nice to have you here tonight on a cold night.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So tell me about how you got involved with this exhibit. How did that call come to you?
John Hitchcock and Ken Bloom, and at the time another curator that they had working there, contacted me and asked me if I was interested in participating in the exhibit. John Hitchcock was a previous professor of mine at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, so he was familiar with my work. And I think that he knew, according to the theme that he had built, that my work fit that particular theme.
So what kind of themes do you like to play with? What's meaningful for you?
A lot of my work comes from researching traditional works or older works, but it also is a way for me to draw out a lot of the meanings that I know that are embedded in those works that a lot of people aren't familiar with. So with his exhibit being the idea of things being encoded or things being buried within, that's a lot of what I deal with, and I'm an abstract artist as well, so I combine a lot of encoded information in my works.
What I find really exciting is that there are symbols that mean something if you know more, if you have a bigger cultural experience.
Correct.
And so what is it like to bring that to a venue like the Tweed?
It's really exciting for me because that's the motivation of a lot of what I do, is I see a pretty large divide between the understanding of Native American work and the mainstream audience, and a lack of exposure to it, and therefore a lack of being able to unpack that work for what it truly means. And so for my own work, I'm usually trying to draw those conversations out. So this type of exhibit is perfect for what I'd like to do, because it's trying to build those conversations and inspire them.
And not just on a local, state level, on a national level and beyond, right?
Yes, yeah, if possible. I think, that a lot of us involved in the Native art scene are generally working towards those goals. We've been historically fairly segregated in the arts institutions and whatnot, and so a lot of us are working towards having a voice that comes from ourselves, that promotes a greater understanding of where our work comes from, its significance, and its contributions to art history at large.
Because as you look at the Louvre or any of the big, art movements, you see all kinds of people drawing from those examples.
There's a long history of Western artists that have garnished a great amount of influence from indigenous arts. And a lot of times, that can be brought up. People talk about it and they highlight it for just a moment here and there, but a lot of times the reality of how much influence is actually there isn't really talked about. And for me, the biggest thing is that it's not honored as much as it should be, and that their Native peers at the time don't get the same honor as the Western artist who has gleaned that information or that aesthetic from an indigenous artist.
It's exciting to be able to learn from you and from your artwork and from the exhibit at the Tweed. Now, we do have some samples of your artwork, and if you would, take a look at what we have, and let's see if we're even close. So tell me about this piece.
This piece is titled Self-Reflection. So this is actually a very personal piece in the fact that it deals with ideas of identity issues. And so a lot of my work comes from trying to find a happy medium or a place where my influences from both my Native upbringing and then my upbringing within urban environments and within Western culture mesh. And then also being the fact that I'm Lakota and German and Welsh. So that piece has these dual sides that are very much matched, but they're complementary colors as well, so they kind of clash and fight, and it's about trying to find that balance and that place of where all those things fit together and where you accept that all of those parts make up your whole.
Yeah, I saw that piece and I saw a shark fin as well as a surfboard.
My mom saw those too.
I know, in a shark tank, that looks scary. Now tell me about this one.
This piece is also this one really strongly deals with the overall overarching identity issue within Native communities. And so the pages of this book, this piece is titled Torn. The pages of this book are all torn from a book called Real Indians, Identity and the Survival of Native America. So it deals with blood quantum issues. It deals with, people's experiences on reservation versus urban or off reservation, their exposure to culture, all of these things. It's a really difficult, deep subject, and the book is really hard to read. And so out of the frustration in that, I tore off all the pages, ripped them all up, but to visualize, put a visual metaphor to that, but then at the same time acknowledging that the conversation is that important. We can't get rid of it. We have to address it. And so I took pieces that were important in that conversation to me, whether they were difficult or that I agreed with, and patched them back together and created the kind of centerpiece of that in the red is an old Lakota symbol, but then added the bases of the houses, kind of morphing that into a contemporary reality of these, so really just playing with our influences from cultural teachings, and then how those relate to our reality of living today, and looking for that place of where those connections make sense.
I really appreciate you taking the time. We've only just begun, and there's so much education that I personally need and then our community can gain. So thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. I want to let you know that Encoded will be up at the Tweed through the end of March, mid-March, and for hours and directions, check out the museum's website online. And we'll be back after this.
just a cool feeling to be riding down with your bike from your house, going next to like this beautiful lake, and you got your guitar on your back. And I don't know. Even if I wasn't going to make money, it just feels good. Really, this is the best place I found because people will rush over to those boats and then they'll come back and can just be playing, and they'll, you know, they're tourists, so they have money. You know, that's usually in the middle of a song, just like playing, and then all of a sudden that happens. I guess for this kind of thing, you want to play the happiest music you can. And like, there's a lot of songs that I like to play that are like more darker, and like sometimes I throw those in there just for myself, and I don't expect to make any money off those ones, but the ones that people usually give you money for are either covers or just like super sunshiny pop stuff.
My oh my, it's been a while since I seen your pretty smile. Now I've seen your face and that smile ain't there. Wow, why must you build a bridge out?
When I met Jack, he was probably 13, and it reminded me of all the bands that start out just trying to get their voice, trying to hit the right notes.
When I had never played a show before, when I was like in 6th or 5th grade, something like that, he was just like, yeah, just come over, play a show, it'll be good.
I don't know, he has something in him, he knows what he wants, he can just find a way to get there. I like that.
I've actually taken a lot of songs and like tested them out here right after I've written them, and then on some songs, that's been what's decided, like if I play it at a show, you know, even that night. Yeah, most of the time I just do it for the sake of playing music, so it's really the best way to find out how you're going to be attention grabbing and make people like, oh, I'll give you a quarter.
Well, I'm getting older now.
Well, Jack and lots of local music groups are already lining up for Duluth's Homegrown Music Festival. Registration is open right now. The registration kickoff event, or Winter Fiasco, is this Friday in Duluth. There's more information online at duluthhomegrown.com. In our gallery tonight, a mixed acrylic piece from an artist named Kogel. Thanks to Jeff Schmidt and Lizard's Art Gallery for curating our gallery tonight. Now there's more information on the playlist online where you can share your tips, watch clips, and sign up to be part of our studio audience. Facebook and Twitter will give you the latest updates. And now the amazing percussion duo of Meehan and Perkins. With mallets in hand, they show us what's in store for this weekend's performance with the Duluth Superior Symphony Orchestra. I love that pause. That is so impressive. Welcome, Todd and Doug, to the playlist.
Thank you.
So that is a pretty impressive piece to watch, and I think the band nerd and the music fan is watching that in amazement.
Well, thank you.
Well,
that's good. So
yeah.
we aim for that.
Yeah.
Good. So did you start off as percussionists, or how did you guys get started in this journey?
Yeah, I think both of us have a similar upbringing in that I think we came to both the percussive side of things through band programs, but also through playing drum set and getting together with friends and kind of rock band settings. And for a while, I think we both had this split personality of playing in rock bands and then also playing in the school band. And well, we never stopped. So here we are, all these years later, still doing the same thing.
Rock marimba?
No, it was definitely rock drums, and for me, I was a rock bassist for a while as well. But the feeling of it for us, I think, when we're together playing this music, even though, you know, the people in Duluth are going to see us with the symphony orchestra, when Todd and I play together, it feels as much fun for us, just like being in a rock band. So I think we met when we were in college and music school, but we kept coming away from, it didn't feel like we were playing music in school, it felt like we were playing a rock band again. It just happened to be music that sounded like what you just heard, or symphony orchestra music.
Tell me a little bit about the contemporary versus classic music, and for a percussive duo, how many pieces are out there for you guys to play?
Yeah, for us, you know, when we say we play classical music, which basically means, I think to us, it means a composer wrote it down for us, and it might have instruments that you might see at the orchestra. So of course, Beethoven barely wrote any notes for percussion. So all of our music is really young, and I think that's for Todd and I, what's really exciting, because there's not a lot of percussion duos and even less music. So if we're going to play a piece of music, it's going to probably be something that was a collaboration between us and some friends of ours. So the piece that you're going to hear on Saturday night, this concerto by Jonathan Leshnoff, is a piece that Jonathan wrote for us, and actually the DSSO helped commission it and bring it to life, which was really wonderful and generous. But you know, it's a piece that our friend Jonathan wrote, and it's something that we're all doing because it's an extension of that rock band thing. Like, we're just friends making music we like and sharing it with people.
That's the best way. And you guys not only play marimbas, but when we'll see you on Saturday, you'll have a whole array of instruments. We have a couple of pictures of what you look like when you have all that stuff around you. And how does all that other stuff play into what you're doing?
Well, I mean, you know, percussion by definition is anything that you strike, hit, rub, shake, really, you know, anything that you're manipulating in that way. And with a lot of the pieces that we play, and certainly with the concerto, there are mountains of instruments that are surrounding us. And, you know, part of the trick is learning how to navigate all of these things and knowing how to play this particular instrument in this moment and then quickly jump to something else and do something perhaps very different on another instrument.
I was asking you about what your sheet music looks like, and does it look like a piece of piano, you know, signature and all the notes, or how does it look?
Yeah, well, it can. Many times it does. If we're playing a percussion keyboard instrument like a marimba or glockenspiel vibraphone, then it does, and it looks just like piano music. But if we're playing drum music or non-pitched percussion instruments, then composers come up with different ways to do that. And so there are different keys or systems that you have to learn, sometimes with each new piece, in order to understand the vocabulary, basically, of how you're going to go about deciphering this, and then being able to read it, of course, in the moment in performance.
Which goes back to your comment, Doug, about, you know, when you're playing music that friends wrote or that you have a hand in putting together, it's got to be, okay, I got that one. I got the instinct that was behind that.
Right, and you know what you'll see on Saturday, all of the stuff looks kind of like piano music, but middle C just doesn't always middle C. Sometimes it's middle C, but sometimes it means hit that wood block or hit that weird cymbal. And that's a thing where Jonathan sat with us and said, I don't know, what should be middle C? I think in my part it's one of the bongo drums is middle C. So, you know, it kind of looks like piano music, but rather than being a scale, it's boom, 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 you know, it translates to different sounds.
That's just awesome. So thank you guys for taking the time. I know you just came in today. You have a busy weekend ahead of you, and I wish you all the best with it.
Well, thanks so
you
much.
very
It's been
much.
really fun.
That's really cool. And you'll also clap us out, I understand.
We will.
That's great.
Can we do that now?
All right, yeah, I'm just
Great.
going to say, hey, you guys go out and support local art and what's going on in our community and enjoy your weekend. Gentlemen, it's yours.
All right, here's clapping music by Steve Reich.